I'm going to talk about microaggressions. The term microaggression was coined by the psychiatrist Chester Pierce in the 1970s. Pierce was led to the idea of microaggression by his clinical experience working with African American patients. Pierce defined microaggressions as subtle put-downs of black people by white people, which can be automatic and nonverbal. Later, this idea was extended to other groups that experience various forms of discrimination. For example, women, fat people, disabled people, LGBT people, immigrants, and more. According to the psychology professor Daryl Sue, who researched microaggressions at the Columbia University in New York, most microaggressions are perpetrated unconsciously. He provides a personal example. He, an Asian-looking man, boards an airplane. The flight attendant, who is white, asks him and his friends, also Asian-looking, to move to the back of the aircraft to make room for a group that for some reason needs to move up front. He asks the flight attendant why she didn't ask other passengers who are white to move to the rear. She gets very offended, tells Sue that she never even looked at his skin color, and accuses him of being oversensitive. That's a great example of microaggression. Many microaggressions are not just unconscious, but may even take the form of a compliment. For example, your Hebrew is really great, to someone who has lived in Israel for decades. Consciously, the speaker is making a compliment. Unconsciously, though, there is a put-down in this message. The speaker is saying, you are not from here, you don't belong, you are not an Israeli like myself. Or, let's take something a man may say to a woman. Great job parking that car. Again, the surface message is positive, while the hidden message is a put-down. You parked well considering that you are a woman, but remember that as a rule, women can't drive or park very well. In societies that are very liberal and restrained, most of the degrading messages take the form of microaggressions. In the Israeli society, where people tend to say exactly what they're thinking and not to worry much about political correctness, microaggressions take place alongside the much more blatant manifestations of sexism and xenophobia. Generally, a single microaggression will not lead to psychological traumatization. However, the daily, continuous exposure to microaggressions leads, according to the psychoanalyst Kimberly Leary, to chronic narcissistic injury, which will translate to lowered self-confidence and self-esteem. Because for many people, absorbing microaggressions is their everyday reality. Moreover, for many people have never experienced a reality where they are not constantly bombarded by microaggressions. These messages tend to sleep inside, and after a while the person may have trouble distinguishing between internalized microaggressions and her own thoughts. The work of therapy in these instances must include raising awareness of the microaggressions that the client keeps absorbing and breaking the cycle of identifying with these hurtful attitudes. Unfortunately, many psychologists in Israel are not aware of the effects that microaggressions are having on their clients' lives.